I got the idea in South America last year. I was on tour, Santiago, Chile, November 29th, 2007. The place was the Santiago Plaza. They were building a Christmas tree in the lobby. It was about 9, maybe 10 stories high. There was an atrium. They brought in technicians from across Chile, and they were building this thing piece by piece, day by day, ornaments the size of your head.
That's spicy.
And I think that process of watching them build gave me the idea to want to build something. And I wasn't sure what it was.
I don't know either. I don't know.
I didn't know, and
Do you know
it took
now?
me a while. No, I still don't know, but it gave me an urge, an urge to build, and decorate.
The world,
And so
basically.
yeah. Well,
Decorate
I
the
try to do that with the music.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to decorate. I'm trying to build. I'm trying to ornament, or sometimes just leave the tree bare. Not decorate at all. Sometimes I just want to bring attention to something that needs to be celebrated,
Children.
but not with too much fanfare, not with too much tassel, not with too much, extraneous
Extremities.
extreme
Extreme extremities.
streamlined,
Extraneous. Streamlined. There it is.
straight,
There it is.
straight,
You.
stapled,
So, like Legos.
just kind
Spicy.
of, yeah. I was aiming due north. I feel like the north is an area of strength, reserve, cold. It's a direction of stamina,
It's up.
strength.
That's what
It's
it
up.
is.
It's up, and it's where birds go in summertime, right?
When they're hot.
Yeah, but when they're cold, they leave. So
Why did they do that?
because it's migration,
Oh, okay.
and it's the furthering of the species. But my instinct was it was winter. I'm going north.
Okay.
So I went north,
Iceland.
and what I found there was endurance, and I found a sort of extemporaneous survival. Not of the fittest, but of the fit.
The fit.
Or, somewhat healthy.
So you had a gym in the studio.
Yeah, but we didn't use it.
No, it was just a symbol.
It was a symbol of, strength, proactive, is that?
Yeah.
Or
Creatine.
is that stuff you put in your hair?
That
don't know.
is.
But, it was a process, and the weird thing is when we headed north, we really ended up
Cold,
cold, yeah. So we
but strong.
ended up, we were strong. And we needed to find a place where we could go where we were rippling.
Wow. Okay.
He is like a stadium
Yeah.
because there's a certain surge in power that you get from the collective, and he is the collective, a one-man collective that tells you one thing.
That's just what
Yes.
you know.
Yes, that's what he says.
Why?
And yes, he says why as well. He says two things. He says yes,
Yes.
and then he says
but
why.
Why? And then that's.
Why, and that's the context for greatness.
Oh man.
To
Is he dangerous?
he is, but it's approachable.
Mm.
Because in that danger there is an acceptance of chaos, but also an embrace of change. Behind the title Modern Guilt is a small man, but a man of inquisitive joy. You know, he can rip off the tops of things and see what's inside. He can take things from their essence and keep them covered and sheathed. He sheathes and he uncovers. And I think the guilt and behind that title is a little man. But he's getting bigger, you know, and he gets, no, he's not that little. No, he's not that little.
This big.
He's a little bit bigger than that.
He's like
Kind
this
of,
big.
no, bigger.
He's like
Bigger. He is the man who represents the conscience. Conscience, yeah. And he cuts with his conscience to create. There's a lot of things. There's species, there's technology, there's garbage, there's trees. There's one person and there's nobody. There's acceptance, but there's also disapproval. Ultimately, I think there's a conscience, and with that conscience, there can be a solution, but not a solution that leads to some sort of ending, a solution that leads to another problem, ultimately. And that's the dilemma. And that's what makes it modern. I wanted to convey that the things that are crucial are the things that you need to get rid of. I say just put them away.
Say it.
Put them in your pocket.
In the pocket.
Walk with them and walk to the sea, walk to a pond.
Recycling bin.
And let them go,
Goodbye.
Let them spray from your fingers like the dust of yesterday's rubbish. Let yourself break out, because there's really only one thing holding you back, and it's yourself and
Fire.
fire. You can download Trent Reznor, you can download Rainbows, you can download Biceps, you can download Lollipops. I don't care.
Don't fucking care.
What matters here is that there's something that should go down.
In the load.
And what we're trying to put down is some sort of, I don't like words like crystallization, really. Because crystals are, they come from caves, and they take a really long time to produce. But are we not trying to crystallize something?
This guy is.
Essence.
This guy.
Essence.
This guy.
But caves are forbidding. So I don't even want to go there with crystals or caves or anything. There's a template. And what I say is, take the template, you pull it, you nudge it, you pull it, you strain it, erase it, and say, what do you have left? And who cares? Because I will download that, I will download nothing. There's something about her that's strong, that has life in it, that has experience, that has things that are earned. I think that she really possesses something that is, rare. And when she came in and sang on this record and put her voice on the song changed, but it was, in a way, she was putting her voice there as if it had always been there, which is something that shouldn't really happen in a recording. You know, when you put something new in a recording, it changes it. But this was more like excavating, you know, finding something that was already there. And she could become part of the song in a way that I haven't really seen a lot of musicians do. She could come in, she heard the song, she knew what it was, not technically, but in another way, that she could become part of the song, and in a voice that embraces, but, you know, isn't trying to be loved. One of the most unforgettable times on the record, I was playing a guitar solo. It was a rather long guitar solo. I looked through the glass in the studio, and I could see Danger Mouse, and he was leaping into the air, almost as if in slow motion. And I don't know how he did that with his body. But the moment in my mind is in slow motion arc through the air, almost balletic. And there were tears of joy and kindness and ecstasy. And there was a look on his face that said,
I love you.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
what
it
he
was.
said?
Yeah, that's what it was.
I knew it.
You can transform a cathedral into an outhouse. You can transform sugar into salt. You can spend all your time on these things, you know, but that's just the nature of it. Why am I talking so quiet?
You don't have to talk at all, Beck.
So I'm not. I'm going to shut up.
Shut the hell up. Play the music and just shut your
Keep
mouth.
it closed. I know.
But I like your voice when you talk.
It's a little bit monotone.
Tasty.
Okay, here's what I try to keep in mind.
Don't
You can't put a feather in your hat called macaroni. You
You're-
can't put on pants and say,
Oh, magic. Can't say that.
you can't say magic.
Don't ever say magic.
Don't say crystalline.
Crystallized.
And, you know,
Just
don't
don't tap
Don't tap into it.
We're saying the same things.
I know.
Say something else.
Everywhere
has its thorn.
The grass is always
so greener.
Yeah. A bird
Oh,
in the
in
hand.
a hand.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It's weird.
I'm so glad I'm here today. Say something else.
Like,
Right.
I've got to work with Michel Gondry twice. That left a pretty big impression. His whole process, though, the way he makes videos, it's like he constructs a puzzle, and he has to figure his way out of it. And they're hard to understand until he's filmed it and you see the final edit. But the video, I think, that visually sticks with me is for a song called Devil's Haircut.
Take that.
Music videos are, you know, they're somewhere between a necessary evil and, you know, an excuse to just indulge yourself in whatever kind of visual ideas, any interests. I think for some musicians, it's a way to live out a fantasy. Obviously, you're not making films. It's not a cinematic art. It's something that's ultimately disposable. But in that 3 or 4 minute form, you can indulge yourself. You can just stand there and pretend to sing your song. You can play with animals, you can
That's good.
rise.
Rise up.
Rise.
Rise up.
You know, it's a form that has formed. There's conventions, there's
I don't shit on myself.
there's things we expect from videos, there's things we want from videos, there's things we don't want, you know. They're Nickelodeons for a time, you know, they're these snapshots of a musical episode, they're canned. Yeah, I think I'll always come to Japan. Japan's a place that over the years has given me a lot of inspiration, a lot of ideas, a lot of perspectives. I took a lot of influences from folk music. I know that's a wide term. You know, when I was coming of age, it was a derogatory term. But the people I was listening to were everyone from Woody Guthrie and Leadbelly and that whole kind of folk ways tradition. Those artists of that era, all back to the Delta Blues and Country Blues, Carter Family, Mississippi John Hurt, Skip James. You know, I mean, the list goes on and on. You know, everything from Antonioni, Bertolucci, Fellini, anything from Buñuel, Bergman. Bergman's a big one for me, especially the films of the 50s. Truffaut, Godard, you know, some of the Eastern European filmmakers. Comedies from Buster Keaton up through, you know, early 80s comedies. Teenage coming of age films in the 80s. 70s cinema, Last Tango in Paris, Five Easy Pieces, spaghetti westerns, early John Ford films, William Klein, documentary filmmakers. It really runs the gamut. It's a record that was recorded at the beginning of this year, 10 songs, 33 minutes. I think after about 40 minutes, 50 minutes, most people, I think that for an album, that's about the attention span, and I thought I would rather have somebody want to listen to the record again rather than them be done with it before they've heard the whole thing. I don't know if I have a favorite. Orphans was the first thing we did, so that gave the direction, and that gave me an idea what would be possible on this record. We did that the first day we got together. There's not really any meaning other than it was supposed to be a song about a girl in the way an old Chuck Berry song is about, you know, Maybelline or, you know, one of those kind of songs. They're kind of throwaway songs. They're kind of meaningless in that way that the best old rock and roll can be nonsensical, but it represents a sense of just kind of being loose. It was one of the songs on the record where I just improvised the lyrics on the microphone, and I didn't really know. It was more of the feeling of the song I was trying to get than any real meaning. You know, I think there's aspects that are personal, but there's certain things that happen when you're writing a song they don't. You might be speaking in the first person, but you're not necessarily writing about yourself. I've had sometimes you write a song, you're not sure why, and then later on it's a song that you identify with as something. I think different songs can come from different places. Some of them can be direct experience, and some of them are just you don't really know what you're writing about till later. It's good. I have a new band right now. It's a 5-piece band, and these songs work pretty well live. I have to say, with most of my albums, there's about 3 or 4 songs that work really well live from each album, and it's not necessarily the single or the song that we release as a video or a single. But this album, I think there's a higher concentration of songs that have worked live. I've been working with bees.
Fascinating.
Yeah. We're collecting honey. We're breeding wasps. We're going to break out into yellow jackets next year. And, there's something about extracting the nectar from the flower and excreting it to
Just spray
make the sweetness.
Spray that sweetness.
Everybody.
Yes.
I like number 9. I like. I got this hat from Japan. I got these boots from Japan. So, I don't know. I like the fashion in Japan. I like. There's things that are familiar to me, but it's a different version of it. If it's Western clothes or something traditional or just a T-shirt, there's always something. There's some other aspect to it. And also those clothes fit me.
Of course.
I'm not that big, so the clothes fit me. When I go to Japan, I like to walk around. I like to get lost. When I'm in Kyoto, there's temples I like to go to. There's different parts of the city. Tokyo, sometimes I like finding little neighborhoods and just finding things. I've done everything from go to see kabuki and traditional theater to tea ceremonies to, Really, every week now I hear another band that I think is good. We just toured with a band called Yay Sayer. I like everything from MIA to Spoon. I like the Shins, White Stripes, Radiohead. I'm in all the bigger bands and everybody from the Books to Aphex Twin. I still love Stereolab. Gnarls Barkley, I think, one of the better bands. Sending out an SOS, sending out an SOS, SOS.
like a 1, 2, 3, him, and out and SOS, and out and SOS, and out and SOS, and out and SOS, and it stands for something, something.
A gale force, a sound that will hit them like a wall. I think there will fireballs, but no fire
They're gonna make up
because
a
it's going to
wall.
be safe. It'll be very safe, but
PG.
people might die.
So,
No, they're not going to die.
whatever.
I'm kidding.
Maybe
They're
one.
they're
person.
gonna, but they're gonna feel something,
An ugly person.
and they might get wet.
just get wet and die.
Yeah.
Don't-
What was once beautiful will be ugly, and what was once ugly will be beautiful.
In the balls of fire.
Well, I like to come during that time because it's one of those sights that you see once and you never get out of your mind. You know, it's the passage of time. It's the tradition. It's something that's emblematic of Japan, and it's little pink flowers dancing on your face
Hey,
and telling you it's okay
hi, flower.
to
Don't go.
breathe. It's
Just-
okay to
Inhale.
It's okay to welcome spring, and spring will come, and summer will come, and will scorch you.
Hi, summer.
Winter will burn you with its ice, but then Sakura comes and says, I will tantalize you, and I will fondle you with
Sweet nectar.
little flowers